Hi, I'm Finn Toll, and in the studio today I've got BBC Radio 1 presenter Victoria Jane of the R&B and Soul Show, and also GigPig's new presenter of Live from the Studio. Thank you very much for coming down today.
Thank you for having me on the sofa.
It's great to have you here, and how is it to be part of the GigPig family now as well?
Do you know what? It's really nice. It's really nice to be included in something new happening in Manchester, and I feel like GigPig is onto something really great. So it's really nice to kind of be involved in that. Yeah.
I wanted to start off with a bit of nostalgia. What was almost like your earliest memories of being involved within music when you were growing up?
Oh God. Do you know what? I've always loved Amy Winehouse from a young age, and Kareem Bailey Rae. And I just remember I was born in London, in a place called Hertfordshire, and I remember just listening to their music. My mum would be playing Amy Winehouse, and I don't know how I got involved with listening to Kareem Bailey Rae, but I was obsessed with her music. I wanted to be her, and I feel like there weren't many artists as a young person, and female black artists that I kind of there were really just everywhere. So when I saw Kareem Bailey Rae, I was literally just like, I want to be her. Like, I want to be that person. I want to be an artist and sing like her, make these music videos like her. So there, I feel like listening and discovering Kareem Bailey Rae was like one of my earliest memories. And then just hearing like artists like Amy Winehouse, Etta James, old school soul artists like that in the house. That's some of my early memories.
Absolutely, and also you said that you moved up to Manchester as well, so you're almost like an honorary Manc.
Kind of, but my mum's from Manchester.
Oh, that's good enough.
But I moved up at the end of primary school, so I've basically kind of had most of my life up here anyway, really.
So being from Manchester, being from the north as well,
Yeah.
being a black artist, a young female artist, is it important to kind of break down that stigma and break down the walls of what's in the music industry at the minute, of having artists similar to yourself and younger people almost recognising you as someone they can look up to?
Yeah, I feel like it's so important. I think, like I said, growing up, there wasn't many people, many black female young music artists that I saw on TV or on like Top of the Pops or MTV or whatever. They were all kind of outside of the UK. And it was the same when it comes to like my presenting side. I've always wanted to be that person, that voice, that kind of figure that other people can look at and be like, oh, she can do it, I can. Because even like when I was growing up, I remember Googling like presenters, black female presenters. And there was hardly any like coming up. And I think there's always been that lack of. So I've always strived to be that person, that figure. And maybe I'm slowly getting there, but it's something that I would definitely want to be for people.
And throwing it back to your music now, when you started out, it was very trap heavy on your beat as well.
Yeah.
But obviously your new Demos album that's come out as well really shines a light on where you started out in your music career. And was it a release for you to almost look back on yourself as personal growth, or for your listeners to look back to see how far you've come?
Do you know what? A bit of both, because like you said, when I first started in music, there was no producers making like R&B, soulful kind of beats. And I didn't really, or there might have been, but I didn't know them. So I just had to like kind of mold to the rap, the trappy kind of more upbeat kind of beats. And then gradually I experimented with other sort of beats, like more poppy, more like just different genres. So this Demos kind of project that I just dropped, it was kind of like me kind of getting that chunk of my life out, because a lot of the songs that I did make like in the past, I thought I'm not really going to release them. I've changed now. I'm making such amazing music now that I've still not shared. But then I thought, I've spent so much money on this studio time. Like, that's still a part of me as an artist. And in a way, I kind of want people to see the journey. So why not share that chunk of me, that past self of me as an artist, before I get the new proper music out? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it's exciting to hear that you've got new music out.
Yeah.
What can we kind of expect in the future on the music side?
Do you know what? I've for the past year or so, I've been in the studio, like working with amazing producers, and making the music that just brings me the most joy. It's really soulful. It's really music that will evoke an emotion, I think. And I think next year is the year where I'm going to finally be able to release this to the world. I've got a couple of collaborations coming out, which I'm really excited to come out. If they do happen, fingers crossed. So yeah, it's just going to be like great music.
Well, we can't wait to hear them. We're excited to hear them. And you said that these new songs are evoking emotions. Well, what emotions are they? And also, what do you want listeners to maybe feel or when they're listening to your music?
I just want people to connect to it, whatever they want, whatever way they want to connect to it. I just want people to feel something. I feel like with a lot of my music, it's not specifically writing about myself. It could be from an experience that my friend might have, or even like I could just get inspired by hearing something or watching a film. There's so many different places that my inspiration comes from when I'm writing. But I always know that whatever I'm writing or whatever I make, it's going to really have that connection. That's what I always try to achieve, at least. So I just want people to be able to feel something when they hear my music. And I've always said I want my music to be able to help people. So yeah.
I love that. That's really exciting. And you just touched upon songwriting. Obviously, your background's in journalism and you went over to radio.
Yeah.
But music's always been a part of your life. Is songwriting something that comes natural to you? I know you take ideas, perspectives from other places in your life, not necessarily on yourself. How easy does it come to you?
I think songwriting, I've always loved songwriting. I am naturally, because I didn't have the beats at the first place, I'm naturally someone who would write before they get the beats, and I had to learn to write after I've got the beats. And I've always loved songwriting. I've always been a freestyler, and I would say 70% of the time my songs start as freestyles. I'm trying to learn to write more, but my mind is literally like all over the place when I'm in the studio or when I have an instrument or a beat. Like I just start freestyling, I start like recording melodies, and I do want to become more of a better songwriter. I know I'm not perfect, so that's something I do want to work on, but I do love songwriting.
It's great to hear that the creative flows are all around. When you're in the studio, you can just drop down the beat straight away. And obviously, as I touched upon, your CV is crazily busy. I think that's fair enough to say.
Yeah.
How do you juggle them all so successfully for starters? And also, when you've got some free time, what do you do to just kind of switch off and chill out and have a few days where you're just doing nothing? What do you kind of do in those days?
Do you know what it is? Yeah, I get asked this question all the time. Honestly, I do. Like, if you could say what's the most question you get asked, it will be this.
I'm expecting a good answer then.
I would say it's easy, but it's not easy juggling everything. But I always said to myself, my mum always told me, I just want you to be happy, do whatever you want to do that makes you happy. And I've realised like you don't have to do one thing, and I don't think anyone should have to do just one thing. And presenting, I love presenting, I love radio, I love talking to people, I love putting people onto new music and just music in generally. I love music myself, and singing has always been the thing that brings me the most joy. But there's also other things I want to do, like I'm trying to write a screenplay. Like I've always wanted to get into acting as well. Like, and I feel like you shouldn't be confined by one thing. Balancing everything is not easy, but I always say like if it comes to a time where one needs to give, then I'm obviously in a good situation at that point. So I try not to stress myself out. I think it's harder to probably balance like family and friends, but I think that's just, as you're getting older, it just becomes harder to balance seeing family and friends in your career.
Seems like you've got it pretty nailed down then at the minute with on the teetering scale.
And to answer your other part of the question,
absolutely.
In my free time, like I just try to see my family and friends as much as I can. Like I love going and eating food. I think most of my free time is eating food. I'm a big foodie, and just trying new things. Going to gigs, going to shows, going to the cinema, and just like things like that.
Like really sociable, never.
Do you know what? I'm a sociable person when I want to be, but as I'm getting older, I'm getting to that point where if I'm out and I just want to go home, I'll just leave, be like friends, just be like, I'm going and dip off. But yeah.
going back over to the radio side, putting on those emerging artists from soul and R&B, is that kind of influencing your music with the music that you're putting on the radio, or are you taking your influences from other places?
Do you know what? I feel like my influences in my personal music, I wouldn't say released. Let me just answer that again. I would say that other people's music heavily influences my music, but I would say I still and will always have my own distinct sound and style. I love being able to put music onto new ears through radio. I wouldn't say that directly influences me, but I listen to so much music on a weekly basis. Like, I consume so much in so many different genres, not just R&B and soul. So I think I'm influenced by loads of different artists, really.
And yourself as an up-and-coming musician, up-and-coming artist, putting on those artists as well, you're in a very similar position to you. What position does that put you in? Does that make yourself aware of where you are, or how much of a leg up you're giving the artists who you put on the Soul and R&B show?
Do you know what? That's a difficult question, because I feel like I'm in a really grateful position to be able to put some artists on in a way that they might never have been played on Radio 1 in their whole life. And I'm really grateful for that. And I think being able to do that is something that I don't take lightly. Like, it's only a 2-hour show, so you can only play so many people. So I try and give everyone like a fair choice. And the standard of music that we play out is of great quality. I'm still kind of in my early stage of my career. Some of the artists I play are as well, but some are more like established as well, if that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. And finally, what's almost been like, so obviously I know you said you're still so early in your career, it's in its infancy at the minute. What's been like a highlight moment? It doesn't have to be necessarily massive heights. It could just be something really personal as well. What's been a highlight of your career, either in radio or in music, either or, and also what you're looking to achieve in the next 5 years, or that's kind of on the horizon?
I'll give one for each. I think for radio, it's just been interviewing some amazing artists that I personally love myself. Like, I would say interviewing Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak, and artists like Lucky Day and John Legend, and like, these people are incredible people. So to be able to speak to them and have a conversation with them has been just a blessing. I think for music-wise, performing at the Jazz Cafe, where so many iconic artists have performed, and I would say doing the Cloud X Festival in London last year, and that was my first real experience of being like properly treated as an artist behind the scenes in a like proper way, and that made me realise like, oh, I am doing the right thing, like pursuing both things.
I bet it must feel good brushing shoulders with artists, not on the radio side, on your performance side as well.
Yeah, honestly, it does. And I think what warms my heart so much is when the artists themselves acknowledge my music, and it's just like, that just feels amazing. And I definitely think like next year, 2024, I definitely, there's so much I've got planned, like new music, more shows. I'm already confirmed for Cross the Tracks Festival in London, which is going to be amazing. And yeah, I want to do more. I think a goal that I want to achieve next year is doing a booking or work taking me outside of the UK for music. Yeah.
Is there anywhere that's like tickling your fancy? Anywhere?
No, do you know what? Like earlier this year, well, I've always had the goal for work to take me outside the UK, and earlier this year I got the opportunity to go to Ibiza, which was mad. But I want to set myself the goal of going outside of the UK for music. So let's hope.
That would be crazy. Ibiza could be calling. That would be crazy if you got to go back. And how was it when you went to Ibiza?
Yeah, it was good. It was 24 hours, so that was a bit mad. But it was like a an influencer trip, and it was just mad because it was my friend's birthday, and she was also invited on this thing, and the other people I knew as well. So it was just such a surreal thing for a brand to be taking me and some other like-minded creatives somewhere. It was like, sometimes I feel like a lot of brands don't pay a lot of attention to Manchester and the scene up here. So it was like a really rewarding moment to think that, oh, things are starting to change. So I just hope more moments like that happen, really.
So exciting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, Victoria. Make sure to go and check her out in the studio as well.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you.